Hi everybody. In this episode, we will introduce a serious problem. Some researchers have said we are in a post-truth era where there is no such thing as truth anymore. Probably not. It might be more accurate to say that we are in a period of truth decay in which people value the truth less. So the question is, how did we get here? Have people lost faith in science, government institutions, and the media? Will the world degenerate into an endless argument where anybody can be right and we all live inside mental soap bubbles? Perhaps. So today we will look at current trends, causes, and effects of truth decay, as well as examining the concept of misinformation. Kavanaugh and Rich in 2018 stated that we are in an era of truth decay, in which facts have been replaced with opinions, and that subjectivity and disagreement reign over objectivity and cooperation. They defined four current trends. The first is disagreement about facts and analytical interpretation of facts and data. For example, arguments about whether vaccines are safe or whether climate change is occurring. A blurring of the line between opinion and fact. This has been demonstrated in journalistic writing that is more editorial in nature. With the increase to a 24-hour news cycle, much of the time is now filled with commentary and opinions. Number 3 is a greater influence of opinion and personal experience over fact. The proliferation of blogs, citizen journalists, and social media where anyone can put out information that is unvetted or not fact-checked. One 2016 study found that 62% of adults get their news from social media alone. And last, there is a decline in the trust of formerly respected sources of fact, such as newspaper, TV, and radio. We have seen recently a pretty large drop in public confidence in government, experts, and scientists. Kavanaugh and Rich additionally identify several key drivers of truth decay. The first is a cognitive bias to believe what we already tend to believe, what is called motivated reasoning. This and other psychological limitations prevent people from being rational and objective. Most people, when presented with information that contradicts their point of view, in fact don't change their mind. Instead, they disparage the source of the information, question its validity, or frame their response in terms that are more emotional, moral, or religious. We also see the demise of traditional journalism. These traditional news sources are relying less on investigative reporting and more on commentary. A study also found a trend towards increased reporting of quote-unquote soft news. This includes lifestyle, entertainment, and celebrity stories with fewer solid, hard pieces on policy issues. News outlets are also more sensationalizing the news, making it more emotional. Polarization is also forcing news outlets to shift left and right along the political spectrum to appeal to viewers who are moving to these extremes as well. The inability of the education system to teach civics, media literacy, and critical thinking is a major, major problem. This results in a populace that cannot distinguish fact from fiction. The implementation of media literacy programs early on in the education process is one way to get younger individuals to be able to recognize fake news. There's also a need for greater training in political science to enable people to understand how government works, to restore confidence in governing institutions, and increase civic engagement. The ability to think critically and to understand statistics and the scientific method needs to be emphasized at every level. Another issue is polarization along political, economic, and demographic lines. This produces online echo chambers in which people never learn alternative points of view. Political polarization in the United States has been increasing steadily and is at a historic high. It is also taking place at the geographic level, with Democrats more often living in neighborhoods surrounded by fellow Democrats and Republicans more often living next to Republicans. Income inequality is also getting worse, driven mostly by an increased concentration of wealth at the very top of the distribution. There are also several consequences of truth decay. The first of these is the end of civil discourse. It becomes impossible to have a discussion about any political topic, these days it seems, without agreement on a common set of facts. Online discussions often lack the depth and consideration that are shown for physical face-to-face interactions. A number of schools and other organizations are hosting programs that allow people with differing viewpoints to meet and debate rationally, something which is now sorely needed. Truth decay also produces political paralysis. Without agreement, government cannot set policies or pass laws. Elected officials now have very different views on almost everything and find it difficult to negotiate. The number of filibusters has been increasing over a multi-decade time span, and the percentage of legislation proposed and enacted upon has been declining. Government shutdowns are more frequent, as are budget delays. Alienation and disconnection from political and civic life. Many people now report a rejection and distrust of major social institutions, such as government, media, and religious groups. Opinion polls show dissatisfaction with both political parties. This increases the chances that political outsiders can capture voter attention. These outsiders often represent populist, nationalist, or socialist views. One manifestation of truth decay is uncertainty. At the international level, this might manifest as a hesitancy to confront enemies abroad or to commit to trade alliances and globalism. At the corporate level, it might manifest as a reluctance to invest in opportunities that could drive economic growth. We currently swim in a sea of news. It comes at us through the traditional mediums of newspaper, radio, and television, but more likely in the digital age, it comes at us through our phones and computers. By one account, 2/3 of Americans get at least some of their news from social media. This is especially true of younger viewers. For instance, 82% of Snapchat users who got their news from the app were 18 to 29 years of age. Unbeknownst to many of us, much of this news is just outright false and fabricated. In fact, fake stories spread faster on the internet than real ones do. One study found that the truth took about 6 times as long as lies to reach a sample of 1,500 people. Many of us receive a story on social media that we like or agree with and simply pass it on to our friends without stopping to question it. What may seem like a convincing news item is often cleverly conceived to fool us. For example, it may contain famous names and places that are easily accepted, or a government announcement to make it seem legitimate. This, along with our emotional investment in the story, can convince us that it is real. It is a sad fact, but many people today distrust official news sources like the major TV networks or announcements from federal agencies. This makes people more willing to turn to alternative news sources online, such as blogs, podcasts, or social media feeds. Although some of these sources may be committed to producing objective journalism, many do not. Online algorithms are set up specifically to deliver what we like. If we visit sites that interest us, we click and view those sites more and generate additional advertising revenue. So if we see a news item we enjoy, we will explore it and related stories more. Then the next time we log in, the algorithm will show us similar stories. This results in an echo chamber or bubble where we always get information consonant with our views and never hear alternate perspectives. This makes it less and less likely that we will change our mind as time goes by, even if we are given convincing counterarguments. As always, thank you for watching. We have an entire playlist devoted to the topic of disinformation. In these other videos, we will discuss disinformation campaigns and how to fight them. We also look at why people believe in conspiracy theories and ways to counter those.